Well, all's well that ends well. I know it was a little bit early with the call for a negotiated settlement in Iran, but I'm glad we finally got there. I think there's way too much market skepticism about this deal holding. I think if you understand the underlying dynamic, which is that Iran is broke and sort of desperate, there's a very low likelihood that this thing goes off the rails now. Both sides are basically getting what they wanted. While the market's focused on the left-hand tail of things falling apart, I actually think there's a right-hand tail that nobody's focused on, which is maybe we do end up with a less unreasonable regime in Iran. They really were negotiating very hard. So there was no doubt that there was some hardcore element to the approach they took in these negotiations. But there have been some interesting comments from President Pezeshkian, who's being a little ornery with some of the things he's said about the press criticism of the government and the approach of hardliners throughout this process, sort of feeling his oats a little bit. Perhaps the sort of administrative side of the government isn't in as weak position as many think. Obviously, Galibaf signed the agreement electronically, I guess. I don't know, did they use DocuSign? I suppose so. So it looks like he's at least nominally the guy in charge. The supreme leader didn't sign it. We don't know where he is or what he's up to. And I think you could find that once their negotiating has come to an end, that this administration in Iran maybe really embraces the improved cash flows that the government is likely to see if they meet benchmarks on the nukes. And maybe there's an assessment that the really hardcore approach on nuclear weapons really hasn't led them to a good place. So a bit of a wild card. I don't know. I'll throw it out there. I just think in general the region is going to be more calm than people think right now. I think there's less risk, and I think the strait is going to open really rapidly. Javier Blas at Bloomberg had a good piece about how people are too pessimistic. I'm hearing months. Some people are saying years before things normalize. There's going to be a flood of oil. Iran's got 150 million barrels ready to go like ASAP. We're already moving ships through both sides of the strait. There can't be that many mines there. There are tankers lined up ready to head into the strait now to get oil. The shuttle service has been running using state-owned tankers from the UAE, Kuwait, and Iraq. They've had 2 months to fix any damage that was done to infrastructure in the Gulf, and it wasn't that significant. These guys are going to be pumping as quickly as they can. It's going to be a few weeks. I think things are going to normalize. And then inventories will probably continue to run down if prices are high, because everybody knows the dislocation is temporary. Inventory rebuilding will happen later at lower prices. So I think there's more room to the downside on oil. I know the bulls are very emotional about this. It's almost like a meme trade in the retail community, this higher oil thing. I think it's a bad trade. You're going to see pressure come off global central banks and a really nice liquidity environment as a result. Probably good for risk assets. Enjoy it while it lasts. Who knows when the next bolt from the blue is going to hit. But this one, thankfully, I think is behind us. Thanks for sticking with me and these videos throughout. I hope it was useful. I'll be back with more on the Fed or whatever else pops up a little bit later. Good luck out there.